apologies there, some brief technical difficulties. James was telling us all about chaos, wild collaborations, mixing genres, and hopefully with the ability to do some more of those in the near future. Speaking of, I was kind of looking at your site a little bit and who you're influenced by, and knowing that you worked in chaos. So I have kind of a two-part question for you. One, is there anybody in particular in the Web3 realm that you have your eye on for a collab? And two is, who are you listening to outside of Web3 right now?
That is good. Um, Easy answer is probably Pat Jr., but that's the homie. That's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this is a chaos person, but Kathleen Regan, Rosalie. Um, I've always been a fan of what Domino's been doing. Um, I mean, Iman's the goat out here.
Yeah.
Uh, Maroof, TK, a lot of that fam. Like, I just love what they're doing, what they're creating. And I feel like it's like, yeah, it's just really, really like beautiful art that they're making that I would love to be a part of in any capacity.
Man, I'm fans of everybody that you named there. What about on the more traditional, like the Web 2 side? I hate saying it that way. Let me just
It is
caveat that
weird. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
saying it like that, but like the non Web 3 centric crowd.
Nah, for sure. Who would I really want to work with? I mean, after hearing his new album, I need parts of whatever Lil Yachty is trying to make these days because that album is insane. And I mean, I was a fan of his stuff before then, but like that's just a crazy like turn. I love Toby Lou. I'd love to do something with Toby Lou. Um, I like a bucket list, like a dream one would be John Bellion. Um, which I think I heard like I want to say he might have executive produced the new Jonas Brothers album, which is kind of wild to imagine. Like the album's probably gonna be really good. I've never listened to a Jonas Brothers album, but I probably will now.
I was gonna say I can't say I have either, but that's not small time. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Little Sims. Little Sims is another one that I would love to work with.
so I'm gonna reference you on the Web3 side. You know Monday?
Now
Uh
I don't think I've had a conversation with Monday, but yeah, I know of Monday.
so it's funny, he and I were talking about the Yachty album, and he actually shot me something over that is kind of on that wave a little
Oh
bit.
wow.
So, uh, might have to link you too, because like he was like, "Yo, I was kind of inspired by it," and like it's hard not to be. So truthfully, like I live in Atlanta, right? So like I've heard a lot of Yachty, um, but was completely not expecting what came out, and it was like a very pleasant surprise. I was very happy with it. Um, I want to talk about where you're from, like Michigan, and I know it's not Detroit, but like obviously there's a heavy Detroit influence up there, right?
Oh, for
Uh,
sure.
I was for a long time since gosh, I want to say since middle school, I was a Slum Village fan. It's hard not to be, right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
the whole crew there. But like you even listed some other people, so like you have like the Bill Withers, and I'm sure like there's a whole host of like Michigan influences on there, but like what about locally? Like who like let's skip to the hip hop side of things.
Yeah.
When we talk about Michigan, like where like what is that influence? Like what are you from there originally?
So I'm an army brat. I was born in Germany, lived in Arizona, but I've been in Michigan for like the last 25, 26 years. So
Okay.
musically, Michigan raised me for sure.
Perfect. Perfect. So what's that been like for you? Because like and I know it's really interesting. Like I feel like there's this association that a lot of people like from like the early 2000s think of Eminem from right there. And for whatever reason, I think of like Slum Village and Dilla and like that type of thing. And not to say that you have to pick one or the other, but what's that been like for you in the progression of it? Because like now I think of like there's like Babytron and
Yeah.
what's the other guy's name? There's a bunch of people, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure, for sure. So I am of an older age, so Babytron is not my generation. Uh Respectfully. But like for me, and yeah, I think everyone knows M when they think about Detroit and always respect to M. But like I'm more of a Royce fan. I think Royce, like Death is Certain, is probably like one of my favorite albums ever. And I feel like not enough people talk about that album by Royce. Elzai and Slum Village and the whole squad, right? Like Slum Village is definitely there. Um, I mean Black Milk as well. Definitely being like a producer rapper. There's some underground ones like One Below, Invincible, Finale. Um, Even like Rose Spit, who's from Pontiac, he also is I think co-owner, yeah, co-owner of Burn Rubber. Does a lot in fashion, but like homie can rap his tail off. Buff One from Ann Arbor and like the whole Athletic Mike League. I mean, a lot of people know Mayor Hawthorne for his like singing, but Mayor Hawthorne used to be known as DJ Haircut. And he has bars too. Like, yeah, Michigan just I came up in a time where like I would go to shows and watch all these people and just take notes and learn everything from them. And I think like my sound, my approach, the way I move, is definitely influenced by all those giants.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to, and it was, and I feel like there's just so many. So like we'll speak on the younger generation a little bit. So like we say the Babytron. I remember there's T Grizzly. Like there's that whole group of like the younger cats right now too. So like I don't know. It just seems to keep coming out of there. And like, you know, like I said, I live in Atlanta, so like, you know, it's a similar vibe down here. It's just always in production like that. So it's really cool to see and be around. Um, but I will say maybe where you might be a little bit different than what a lot of people are familiar with out of Michigan, maybe Slum Village notwithstanding. You kind of radiate a lot of positivity, like a very
Oh
strong,
yeah.
good, positive message. Um, and I think that probably speaks to you, but I would love to hear it from you. Like, where does that come from?
So I think like a lot of it is like informed by my faith, and I feel like I always want to say things that are are life giving in a sense, right? I don't want to say anything that yeah, just doesn't add to people's life or doesn't add joy. Um, and so I think at the core, that's what a lot of it is. The other part, so there's I guess two other parts that kind of go in my head too. Is like a lot of the work I do is either with like kids, like young kids, or just like college age youth. And I think I always want to say something that will never contradict the conversation I would have with them. Like when I take off my rapper hat, like I don't like when people try to like like compartmentalize. That's the word. Yeah, when they try to do that with like their art and their life, and they try to be like Clark Kent and Superman, I'm like, nah, I'm me all day. Like if I walk into a class and you want me to talk about the historical impact of something or about patriarchy, like I'm still a rapper while I'm talking to you about patriarchy and these things that are important to me. Um, and so it's that part, and then also like I think the more the more and more I've got into sync licensing, I'm like, yo, like this positive stuff is what they need, like, and stuff that like paints a picture and evokes emotion. You usually don't buy stuff because you're depressed. um I mean you may, but I don't think a depressing commercial would convince you to buy something.
Yeah, you know, like I'm not looking at like someone that's like really just down in the dumps. Like, man, I want to buy that thing.
Yeah.
So speaking of sync licensing, I'm glad you brought that up, dude. You have like a crazy list, and I encourage anybody to check out James' website if you go to his Twitter profile. Hold on, I got it right here. It's supercleanjames.com. Go to the website, look at the sync licensing list, and it's a list. Shows, brands, all this stuff. Um, man, really found a lane there. Like, how did that come to be? Like, because I know that's not like an easy thing to crack.
Yeah. So I like, golly, it's been a while now. It was probably like close to 5 years ago. I signed to an indie label called Elect Recording, and so they already had a background in sync. They kind of made a pivot where they were putting out albums, but they were really trying to like figure out how to navigate sync. And so I joined them, and while I was doing that, I noticed a lot of their placements were primarily like instrumental placements, and so I just started like studying and nerding out on like what is getting placed. I watched probably every YouTube video about it you could watch. Every like I was signing up for classes, And then I just realized, so part of what I do as a job is I work for a nonprofit where we teach kids how to write and make their own music. And so I was like, all right, if I could reverse engineer how these people are making these songs for sync and like teach myself how to teach it to someone else, then I'll get it. And so I just started doing that. And then I think once I started noticing which songs I made, like there's like I have like two type of songs I make that get placed the most. Once I started figuring out like, all right, when I make records like this, like I just have to wait it out and it's gonna happen eventually.
Mm.
Um I just really started like building a catalog of those records. Um and then I guess the hard part was once I left the label, because I did leave the label, a lot of those relationships with like sync agencies were gone because the relationship was through the label. And so there was like one library I ended up getting back in their library like as an independent, not connected to a label. I had to email them consistently for 6 months, and it wasn't like a inquirer like, "Hey, I'm a new artist trying to get in your library." It was like, "Hey, I'm already in your library. I want to get in your library like without the label." Eventually they answered, and they've been one of the companies I've gotten placements with consistently.
Nice, yeah. That's interesting too, because I've been seeing more of it on. I'm sure you know of Dequincy on this
Yeah,
side, so
yeah,
I find their work interesting, and hoping for that to kind of gain some legs on here too, because I think there's lots of like yourself. I think there's lots of people that are on the independent route making music that like what might seem like a small placement somewhere, whether it's a metaverse or just a an ad, basically, right? Like if somebody hears that, they're like, "Oh shit, what's that?" And then like
yeah.
it really changed a lot of things for a lot of people. Um, I want to talk because so some of your marketing, we got it in the background here, and also with the cover art for Comeback King, there's basketball. So I gotta ask, are you a hooper?
Man, I'm nice. I might not be as nice as I used to be. Cause these knees, you know what I'm saying, as you get older, the knees don't work as well. It's funny. When I play, people will joke and say that I'm not gonna I don't need the glory. I'm not gonna take every single shot, but I guarantee if I'm near the rim, I'm getting the rebound. No matter what, and I'll sacrifice my body for it. You're not getting it. I'm getting every single rebound. And like I'm just like I'm the type that like I'm okay with losing if I know me and the team didn't do what we had to do. But I'm just like a utility team player. If I have the shot, I'm gonna take it. If I don't, I'm gonna find someone with it and we're gonna make it work.
So I'm gonna reach on an analogy here. Out of Lansing, doing this. I'm gonna give you like Draymond energy. Is that fair?
Hey, I rock with that. I rock with that. I don't punch my teammates, but I rock with that. No disrespect to Draymond, although I'm not. It's whatever.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah, no, big Michigan State fan myself. I'm from Denver originally, and like nobody gave a shit about college sports out there, so you're kind of
Mm.
left to your own devices. And it happened to be the time the year before Michigan State won the title when it was Mateen Cleaves and Mo Pete and Charlie Bell, that whole crew. Yeah, just became a big Michigan State fan. I still got my Mateen Cleaves jersey.
Ah,
Uh,
that's fire.
and then one of these times when I was in Denver, I actually met Mo Pete. Really cool dude, like super nice guy. So um, I'm so glad that you didn't say blue. I can't stand
Ah,
Michigan.
no, no, no. Can't do it. Can't do it. I can't. I mean, here's the thing. My mom graduated from Michigan State. I work at Michigan State. There's no way. I can't do it. I can't walk around like that.
That's fair too. And I also do appreciate you saying like, sometimes the knees don't work as they will. I'm older myself too, and I tell everybody about 40 pounds ago, your boy used to be able to dunk, but that was gravity doesn't it's
Yeah,
not coming to you as you get older. So
yeah. It's not. I'm like,
um,
I can't jump. Nope. Mm-mm.
as far as the album, so you said that the album is done musically.
Yeah.
Do you have a date in mind? Like what are we looking at? Like Q2 or
Uh, we don't have a date yet. I'm thinking spring. I'm right now. I'm actually shooting a video for Comeback King. I think we have one more scene to shoot. I need to figure out artwork for the album. Merch is already designed. Um, I'm thinking spring. Hopefully, if I get everything done, maybe Comeback King will come out in Web 2 in March, and in April we get the album. But I gotta figure out. It's also weird too because it's like how we're talking about sync. Like right now, everything's still everything's being shopped for sync though, without being out. Like I think that's the cool thing. I think even in the sense of how artists will release stuff in Web3 before Web2, I can shop it for sync. Like Comeback King got placed already,
Mm.
but it's not out, and so it also wasn't a huge placement where like I'd be shooting myself in the foot because I'm like, oh, I missed out on that. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking spring, hopefully.
Nice, nice. Well, I mean, we'll definitely be on the lookout for it. Um, I'm curious too because especially kind of the way that you make what you and do you produce everything?
Not this whole new record and Comeback King are all produced by Charlie Beans. He's out of Detroit. Um, my last full length album, I produced the whole thing. I might get back to producing. That's a lot of work. I just like writing more than producing, and if I'm trying to get stuff done quickly, it's easier to write than produce and just collaborate.
It's a hell of a lot to do all of it. But I was just kind of curious when when you bring all these together, especially like there's a cinematic feel to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like um Comeback King, the forgive me, the there was the one that I queued the whole record up to for this one. Um, but there, again, it feels very cinema and like even the video, like I saw you had the red camera on. It looked like there was one of you running through, like kind of like a
Yeah.
type of thing. Um, what's that like when you go through and do the music videos? Like, because that's got to be like one of the more fun things. I mean, sure, there's a lot of creative stuff going on too, but like I assume you enjoy that process too, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And if I'm totally honest, like I'm trying to trick. Here's my goal. I'm trying to trick Nike to use Comeback King in the next ad. And
Hey,
so like I'm making the music video feel like an ad on purpose, but like and have that cinematic vibe and like the whole joint's gonna be in black and white. And so I feel like um and my theory is that if I can like if someone's looking at my music to place and they enjoy it, if they watch a video and can see how it already works for a placement, it'll make them lean more towards making that decision. But I think for me, I just love telling stories, even if they're visual, even if it's not with my words. And so I hope that every video I do can do that same thing, has a narrative and tells a full story.
nice. So when the video's done, have you explored like a glass or anything like that on this side?
I haven't explored it yet, but I think it's gonna get the Web3 treatment for sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
make sure people can collect it.
yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you're going all out with the production like that. I know the guys over there, and I know Jamie's over there. Like, they'll love to have that over there. So, um, I'm looking forward to seeing it. So,
I appreciate it.
um, now when you say that you've overcome challenges, I'm curious to know what specific challenges that maybe, you say you work with youth and you
Hmm.
say you want to radiate like positive messaging to people. When it comes to Web3 specifically, if you had to give like maybe, and I know this is like super specific, but if you had to give like one piece of advice, like for somebody getting started on the Web3 side, what would it be?
I'm trying to think of what I didn't do that pick a pace you can sustain. Like I think like going into it, you want to give your all, but if you can't sustain that, then like pick a pace that you can sustain. Um, yeah, because I think it's so easy to feel like you're gonna miss out on stuff, and then you'll start neglecting other things. But then when you no longer have that opportunity, you literally can't sustain it, and you're in a position where it's like, oh wait, I can't do that, I can't do this, and you didn't set up systems that were actually sustainable. And I think that's the most important thing in Web3 or any sort of like industry, right? Like you can't scale it, you can't because you can't even sustain it, let alone try to scale it. So pick a pace you can sustain.
Yeah, no, I would second that for sure. And it feels like you could be missing out on stuff, but uh, man, your health is wealth type of thing.
For
So,
sure, for sure.
um, well, man, I look, dude, I really really appreciate you being on here. I'm gonna say a few things. I'm gonna give the floor to you. But I want to encourage everybody to follow James, at least on Twitter. It's at James Garden, Gardin _. Make sure you give him a follow. If you have not downloaded Huddle In, HUDDLN, go to your app store, download Huddle In. You can follow James on there. I'm gonna try to nudge James, see if we can get some like BTS for this new video, maybe
I'll
on
work.
there.
I got you.
But James, the floor is yours, man. Anything you want to say when you want to ask people to find you, any message you want to come across, it's all you.
Say that one more time. My bad. I think someone tried to FaceTime me. Well, I apologize.
No, it's all good. Yeah, anything that you want to say, anything where you want the people to find you or look out for, or any message that you want to convey, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, super clear. That's where everything pretty much is at. I guess any message I want to convey. Hey, if we're gonna build community, make sure it's real community. Building like community where all voices, it's inclusive by nature, allowing people to be a part of whatever we're building, people to watch us build. But yeah, let's.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Well, look, James, I appreciate you. I appreciate the time. Everybody, if you can, at least go listen to Comeback King on Sound XYZ. You can look for James Garden on there. The song is available for the time being for 0.03E. Even if you can't necessarily afford to pick up the song, or retweet counts. Spread the word. Look out for James. We're thinking a springtime album. Check him out. And again, man, I appreciate you and everybody that's listening now or after the fact. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.